Hello and welcome to day 9 of the 1000 Days of No Code Challenge. Like I said in the last video, we have given the brain to our app, the database. And today we will connect the front end to the brain because right now it's like having a super smart brain which cannot share its thoughts to the public. This connection will allow your app to store the data and retrieve it back to display it to the users. By the end of this video, your app will start feeling more functional and alive. So let's get started. We have done the registration process with just email ID and password. Now, let's ask the user to input their name, phone number, and date of birth while registering. Let's see how that works. So I'll just move this slightly this side. And let's bring this a bit down. This even more down here. The password just before the button. And I'll just copy paste the same element, bring it down over here. And let's change this to the name. Right? And let's rename this to name. Content format from email to text. Okay. Now let me copy paste the same element again and change this to phone number. Similarly, change this to phone number. It can remain text. Next one, we need date of birth. So I'll drag and drop the date time picker over here. We can adjust this a bit more.
One eternity later.
In the date of birth, you don't need time. So keep it as date. And you can also give the format that you want. You can give the min and max date, right? Because it's date of birth, you want to ensure that they don't fill any future dates, right? So you can select, you can click on click and search for current and select this current date and time, which means they cannot select anything in the future. Now, of course, the child will not come and start registering on your portal. Likewise, if you want somebody who is above 10 years only to use your app, okay, then you can go here and say plus years minus 10. Okay, this way they will be able to select only the date of birth, which is 10 years before from now. Okay, we have password. Now we had this registration button, which already has a workflow. So I'll click on edit workflow. We have signed the user up. Okay, I'll click on change another field. Okay, which will allow me to select the fields that we have in the database that we created in the previous session. So I'll click on name and then search for name. We have input register name. So click on that. Value. So remember, if you just select input register name, then it will show us an error. Okay, we always have to say input register names value. Okay, likewise, I'll click this one more time. This time I'll select phone number and then we will search for phone number value. Another time and then select date of birth, and this time we have just one date time picker. I'll select that. It's a good practice to always rename the elements. So I'll change this to GOB. The good part about Bubble is when you rename, it automatically changes here. So now let's see if these details are getting inputted in the database. Preview. So the user is already logged in, so you cannot allow the user to register again. So let me first log out and then use some email IDs to register. Let's try with support@red7.com. Name, let's say support test. Phone number 98765221. Date of birth, let's say August. Now this is accepted because it's more than 10 years. Now for date of birth, it does not allow us any date beyond November 24th, 2014 because that's 10 years back. So let me say November 3rd. We can give the password. And that's how you see that Bubble takes care of validation of the input fields. okay, because we had given this as email address. It ensures that we have a at and we have a dot in the email address that we have put in. Let me click on register, and you see that user logged in is yes. Let's see if the data is getting stored in the database. We go here and check this one. Right? We just created this and you see that has come here. Now if you see, this particular user does not have a date of birth, name or phone number, because when that user registered, we didn't have those fields. We didn't have the front end and the mapping. I hope every passing day you're feeling this is getting easier and easier and easier, isn't it? Now you know how do we connect the front end to the database. Now we have seen how do we create new fields in the existing data type. Tomorrow we will see how do we create new data type and then connect that data type to the user data type. This is more like creating new tabs or sheets in your Google Sheets or Excel files and then connecting the data between two or more sheets. Until then, as always, keep experimenting and most importantly, have fun.